Ladies and gentlemen, you probably think I do never make any mistake because I'm an advanced and senior developer, so of course my code is just cool and awesome. And that is probably not true. So let us go into IntelliJ Analyze and why you should actually solve those problems that are there. Probably you just see all of these warnings. Maybe when you commit and push your code, then you get these warnings and you just think they're so annoying. Why not just ignore them and then continue on? But there's actually a reason for there are reasons for them to be shown, and you should actually solve them. You will become a better developer, and you will avoid having clutter and dead code in your project and a lot of other things right here. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to right-click. So this is my Cucumber test project where I have aliens and Wookiees and a lot of weird stuff that you probably have followed from the other videos. So let us say Analyze, Inspect Code in IntelliJ. And then we say the whole project that we have right here. We could have also chosen the whole folder. Then we'll get some more files right here. But here we have in the inspection. And it's not like... huge things that actually comes with right here, but the things that I actually mentioned are actually they're quite important, except for proofreading, I would say. There's a lot of typos right here. We're not going to deal with the typos. This is if you have misspelled a word that should have been something else, and this is actually just annoying, I think. So in this video, we will not look at the typos. Let us start with the Cucumber errors, and here we have some undefined steps. That is quite important, right? And if we go to this file right here, example.feature, then we can actually see this is a file with some template, with some setup code that was actually used to set up the project. So here we have a lot of dead code. There are no step definitions that actually matches this. So we have an example scenario which cannot, of course it is right there, but it's not in the project actually, and this is what IntelliJ is complaining about right now. Since I just used this from archetype, I just used this to set up my Cucumber test to begin with, then I know that this is actually dead code. So thank you very much IntelliJ for noticing this. So I just cleaned up a lot of code, and every time I clean up and delete a file, that means that now I have now I have a colleague that does not have to think about this file and think about why did he do this, right? So the less code the more code you can clean up, the better. So then here we have some non-ASCII characters in the greetings test, and yes, those are Danish characters. It is still UTF-8. So yes, it's not in ASCII, but it's UTF-8. We can see the file in the bottom right here. Here we have the file that says UTF-8. So I'm actually quite happy about this one right here. So I can right click and then I can say suppress for feature. I can also just say exclude. Then what will happen if you say exclude? Then your colleagues will still see this as an error or something that should be solved. You can also disable inspection, but you will not see it any longer in your project right here. Let us try to say suppress for feature. You can also say for scenario, and that is actually a bit more constructive. So I will say suppress for scenario, and then you can actually see up here on the top. There's actually just a comment, but this comment is read by IntelliJ. And when you rerun the analysis of your code, then you will not see that error anymore. And you can also press refresh. Actually, you can rerun it right there. So now I reran it, and now we do not have any Cucumber errors any longer. We just solved those. And did it take long? No, it did not take long. And we just cleaned up the code. We have deleted some folders already. Now we have something that is a little bit more important. Now we have the code maturity, commented out code. Why would you have commented out code? We have Git, we have Git to solve, to handle all of the to handle the code. So let's say that yes, some developers, they actually argue, but maybe I want this code later on. If you want it later on, then you can find it in the Git history. So let us delete those 2 lines right there. The test, it still has an assertion, but you could also be if you meet a test that has no assertion, then you could go and see which developer actually made it, and then you would ask, hey, developer X, Y, or Z, please add an assertion to your test, because else it's not a test, or else next time I see it, I'll delete it. Or maybe in a better, you could also use a better note than that one, of course. But please, advise your colleague that there's a test without any assertions. And a test is only a test if it asserts and tests something. If it does not test anything, and if you're just like trying to see if there are runtime exceptions, then you should try to refactor your code so it's testable instead. There are a lot of other videos about that, and I have also created some, and I'll continue to create those as well. Testable code, shortly said, is code that actually returns something. So if you can make classes with methods that return something, then you are actually creating testable code. It's not like it's that difficult. Okay, so let's continue with inspecting the code. And again, I'll say the project. I'm focusing on the project. Yeah, so now we came to the typos. We don't care about those. Java declaration. So now we don't have we deleted the uncommented code, so that's good. Here we have some Java language level migration aids, and here we have trailing white spaces. This is because, I have a repository. This is a Spring Boot repository, a JPA repository, and I'm using queries, and I'm using the multi-line string right there. And then it actually says that you have some, hey Mike, you have some white spaces inside your text block. Do you want to remove those, or do you just want to ignore that error? And we can actually see here we have a lot of white spaces right here, right here, right here. And I'll just delete one of them. Let's see if it still complains. We'll delete one more, or we can actually right-click right here, and then we can say, okay, there's no auto solution on this one right here, but sometimes you can just get auto solution, and then you don't have to type anything. And you can also see on the right side there's an explanation of what is actually going. What is a white space? But let us continue with memory. Warning: inner class might be static. Maybe static. So I have an inner class right here. That is a test class where I'm playing with some stuff right here. Actually, I don't need this at all, so I can just delete this. Why do I have this inner class right here? There was an error. So thank you again, IntelliJ, with your analysis. Again, you helped me. So I go to naming conventions. Cucumber test runner. Test class name Cucumber test runner doesn't match the regex where we have to end with test case. Yeah, but why not? Why not do that actually? So I'll just right click, or we can press the little, we'll just say rename like this. We can say cucumber test. Why does it want to rename to that actually? It says it should end with case test runner. Case. Okay. Is it happy now? Test. Okay, it's because I have the. Is it because of the runner test case? Cucumber test case. What happens now? So now it's happy. This is actually my cucumber runner, and I like to call it runner because that is. I know that is the class where I have my @run with right here, and I have my cucumber options. So I would actually argue that you could actually exclude that one test runner case. I would like to keep it actually. So I'll just right click and then I'll say exclude. Oh, I wanted to ignore it with comments. So let us do that. More actions. Alt enter. And here we will say, we'll say that we want to. We want to suppress the warning, but I'll just ignore it for now. So I'll just delete it. It will not come up in my workspace or unless I press Let's just press refresh and see if it's still there. So here we still have some Java stuff, naming conventions. Naming convention, it should be test case. Suppress for class, yes. Thank you very much. Suppress warnings. And now we have this new class naming convention. I would like to name it this like this. So then we have probably box. Then we have some nullability. Those might be more important actually. So here we have it right here. Method invocation get sheeps may produce null pointer exception. Okay, let us see. These are the important ones. Or the other ones were also important because it's still clutter in the code, and the less warnings that you have when you have to commit some code, the better it is, and the less likely it is for your colleagues to ignore the warnings when they come to the same situation. So right here we can actually say, first jump to here we have a null example right here. So there's a little light bulb also here we can also press, and here we can say we can actually change this with objects require non-null like this. And then we will actually get the ships from DB. And what will happen if it's null? Then we will still throw a null pointer exception. So this means that then we will get the null pointer exception in another place, but it does not help us that much actually. But this one is one step better, because now we will actually get a nice exception that will say that this is the point where you had something that was actually null. It is more readable when you do that, but it could also have been solved in another way, with an if statement, for instance. Let us continue. I'll press refresh again right here and then see that it disappears. And all of those proofreadings, we don't care about those. So we'll say probably box. Alien assert JUnit test result is ignored. Okay. Assert that satisfies the result of equals ignore case, and let's just say here satisfies condition. And we forgot something right here. Satisfies. Why does it say that? Let us see what kind of solution. It does not have any solution for this one right here. Satisfy this because I'm using this satisfied wrong. I think rework the assertion to assert something inside the consumer argument. Satisfied, okay. And this is actually also SonarLint. Install SonarLint. We'll go through SonarLint another day. I'm actually not sure what to do here, so I have to look up the satisfied in assert J. Object assertion. Yeah, we should do something about this, but not now. We will continue to the next one. So we go to collectors test right here. Stream collect is ignored. Yes, so here we actually have a test without any assertions. And what do we do right here? Most of the times you can just delete them, but or else you should add your assertion and actually find out what was actually the point of this test right here. Yeah. And of course, you could also, if you measure code coverage, then maybe you could see that there are some classes without any tests. Then of course you should create tests for those classes, and then also create cool assertions so you know that your code actually works. The code coverage percentage does not matter that much, but what matters is that you actually test your classes with some good tests, and you get all around in your application. This also means that when someone changes something in one corner, then you should not have an application that actually just falls apart, and then there's something in the other corner that does not work because there was no test that actually confirms or asserts that something still works. So that is why that is of course one of the reasons why we are creating our tests. So here we have the collectors, and this could be replaced through their constructor. Yes, then do that. Right, this one right here. Then we can say replace. Yes, please do that. Here we have this is the method reference instead that we now are changing this to. So that's okay. And again, let's press refresh. Let's see how many errors. So now we have 20 Java errors left. Probably bugs. Those are the most important ones. And the satisfied, yeah, I'll look it up afterwards. It's assert, yeah, I'm missing something in the satisfied. And then we have the trailing white spaces. There was one more right here. So we just remove those. Let's see what happens now. So now we have 19 warnings left in Java. Then we have the declaration redundancy. And we have some places where we could have final modifiers. And again, then we can just press change access modifier. Yeah, just do that. Oh, that was not what we wanted to do. We want to say final. And next one, final. And final. And final. This is a cool with some of the other languages, some of the other Java-related languages, then you actually have finals per default, like Scala, for instance. Then all of the things that you actually define, those are final already. With Kotlin, you can also choose whether you want to have the val and var, and we also have that, of course, with Lombok, if you want to use Lombok. So final, there's a lot of final stuff that could be right here. Could have a lot of final. This could also be final. And of course, if you don't agree to all of these, and if you don't care about some of these things that are being analyzed right here, then you can just remove the inspection. So you can remove the inspection. In the old days, there was a small man with a hat on, and you could just press that one. But you can go to settings, and then you can remove the inspections that you're not interested in. So what do we have here? Method can be made void. Yes, it can. We're creating an alien. Why do we have this one? There's one usage. So let's go to the usage instead. And this is actually a test with when, and we are not using it, but that's okay. So let us just ignore that one. We will say suppress for class. We don't want to check that. Unused declaration. We have a lot of unused declarations right here. We have the alien service. Let's just let me just refresh. 11 Java warnings left. So you can actually see it does not take that long, right, to remove these declarations right here. So here we have, what is this, an error? Are those because okay, unused declaration. This could be that it's because we're not using the list. So actually all of these could actually be, but let us just ignore it. Suppress for class. It's okay because I might use these. This is just a demo project, but else I would definitely use what they return, especially in the test. So let us refresh. So now we have 4 Java warnings left, probably bugs. We have this one still. I want to suppress this one right here for the class. Then I'll revisit it another day. And what does this say right here? We're not using this at all. Spaceship entity repository. Let us just check. Yeah, we are using it there. So I don't know why I complained about that actually. So let us refresh again. Let's analyze again. We go back right here and we say analyze, inspect code, analyze Java. What does it say? Interface is not implemented. Yeah, but that does not matter because that is not how Spring Boot works. So this one should just be suppressed. And these are not being implemented, but that's okay. That's not how Spring Boot and Spring Data works. So yes, I'm a bit disappointed in that actually. When you have a Spring Boot project, it should not come up with all of these, I would say. So then we have some entry point, unused declarations. None of these are used, it says, but I know that Lombok creates some getters for that, so I'm quite sure that they actually are. So, okay. So now we don't have any more Java errors or Java warnings, so that's quite cool. Now we come to Spring. Look what happens right here with Spring. So here we have a Spring Boot. Then we have invalid properties configuration. We have a lot of properties that are not being used. Cannot resolve this property right here. Cannot resolve that. So is it being used at all? Let us just, I don't think so. Cannot resolve configuration property. I don't think they're used. So let us just remove them. Like this. And then let us see if we can still start up the application. That is always a good test, of course, and you can also run a test. That's another thing. Spring Boot application, run. Yes, the properties were not used at all. So now we just cleared that and removed all of that clutter. That's quite awesome. So let us go to analyze once again. Of course, if you say directory, then you will also have checks of your readme.markdown file and all of the other files. But right now we will just focus on all of those typos. We don't care about that. So we'll just say exclude. Properties. See, now we have the JUnit platform file right here. And that is actually not used. I don't think this one is used actually, so let us just... We can actually delete the whole file, I think. And refresh. Shell scripts, we have a lot of stuff in the in shell. We could choose not to include the pre-push sample. Okay, these are sample files. Okay, well let us look at that actually. So because again, this is because I had a good idea. I wanted to add some hooks. I wanted to add some hooks that we actually before we commit the code, then we should actually do something. We should like we should test our code before we did that. So that was actually in the document in the .git folder right here. I created these hooks right here, but they are all commented out, so they're actually nothing is actually happening. I'm going to delete all of these hooks right here because I will. Or am I? Let me just check. So sample and example, blah blah. Called git commit. So we should just rename it to not sample in the end. I actually like to have these samples right here. So again, then I'll just delete the shell scripts. Let's press refresh. A lot of typos, security warnings, and we have shell script. The security warnings right here, now those are vulnerabilities, and most of them are concerning Spring Boot and the H2 database that we have right here. That is okay. Sometimes you have something more serious than I have right here. Sometimes you have something that can be solved by bumping your Spring Boot versions, because Spring Boot has a lot of course, have a lot of other dependencies that it uses. So, and here we have some JSON smart. It actually just says please bump the version. So a lot of times you can actually just bump the version. So if you go So it should actually open up the file, I think. So okay, so I can actually, I'll just press there, actually, then it bumps the versions. Press there. I'm not sure if my Spring project actually works afterwards here. Now I'm cleaning a little bit. Now cleaning up a little bit too much. When you bump versions, you should always be very. You should do that in a securely manner, of course, and you should do it. You should be very careful when you do it. And you should definitely run all of your tests when you're done, and you should also try to start up your application, especially when you bump your Spring Boot versions. But let us try. I just cleared. We can also say rebuild project, because now we actually did a lot of stuff. So let us see if we can rebuild, and then we can run our application now. I'm very curious to see if we can actually do that, or if we cleaned up too much. So let's press run. Let's press run and see if it starts up. Yes. The application started up. I'm very impressed, actually, in 2 seconds. Then we have the life cycle. Let us try to run the test. I think that some of the tests are still failing. But let's see how far we actually get. So now we say test. We should also say verify, because then we run the cucumber tests. This is where we run the cucumber tests. So that was just 12 tests that actually ran, and they're still good. That's fine. Let's try verify to see if we get a cucumber test to run. So first we had the Spring Boot tests running. Now we have the cucumber. We have some aliens that are being created. Some of them are Smurfs. Yeah. And regarding tests, you usually have 2 types of tests. Tests that are dependent on something. Okay, now it's done, so I don't have to come with empty talk. But we have 2 huge cucumber tests that actually ran, and they were actually fine. So I'm actually quite happy with what we did right now. So I would like to say, cleaned up the project. And as you can see right here, it does not take that long, right? Even though it's even if it's a big project and you have never cleaned it up before, it will. Yeah, it might. You can come very, very far within an hour or so. And here we'll actually get some. It found some errors, but some of them we know of, and some of them we don't know of. And that was because we actually ignored. We chose to ignore some of them. Some of the errors. Inspect code. Analyze. Let us take the whole directory now. So that means now we get a lot of the proofreading. I should remove that the typo inspection. I don't care about that. So then we have the shell scripts. We have the security. We have something that gives transitive vulnerable dependency. Yeah, when we use Spring Boot, I'm not sure that there's there's anything to do about this actually, except for bumping the versions when it's needed. Cannot open preview. Change that. Yes. I thought we did this, or maybe it did not bump the versions. What? Okay, let us just go check. Maybe when we press those, then it's just removing them. So let me just check out. Actually, I thought that it would actually bump the versions. So I don't think it did. Oh, still 5.9 right there. And if we press refresh to the inspection, then security will still have the same warnings right there. So of course we could we could go and add bump all of those versions in our maven.properties file and pom.xml file, but usually it will turn out that we'll get some more errors right here. So I don't want to dig into that. That's a bit too much for this video right here. But I hope you saw that it's very easy to analyze the project with IntelliJ, and then clear the clutter. Get a clean project that does not have any warnings, and you can actually catch a lot of null point exceptions and stuff like that just by doing that. In the next video, I'll show you how to use sonar lint, which goes a bit more in details with how to write clean code and how to write good code that without bugs in it. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great evening. Bye bye.